It makes you giggle. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 7 of the Saturday Synaptic Circle. And I love to synchronize my synapses with fellow like minds. We share our insight, our human experience, and we build community. So, hello to the chat. Thank you so very much to our mods. Hi, Carol and Jane. And I believe this is airing on Midwest Night Watchers too. So, hello to all you over there. And thank you for being here. Before I introduce our theme, I want to welcome our guests. I'm so very excited. Our first guest, she's an author, she's a speaker, and she's the founder and creator of Aramis Learning Centers. So thank you, Sherri Divband, for joining. Hi, Sherri.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I'm honored to be a guest on your show. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Mr. Bauer, the walking encyclopedia himself, the man of energies and frequencies, Professor Bauer. Hi, thank you.
Thank you for having me. And it's a pleasure as always. And very nice to meet you, Sherri. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Me as well.
Thank you. Yay. Well, our common theme, which unites us really, is children and that new earth education systems and these beautiful abilities these children have today, how we can nurture them, how we can protect them, and how we can develop these skills for a rise in humanity. But with that being said, just to start off, I'm going to start with you, Sherri, but if you want to share really what are these specific psychic abilities and what is your take on that with the children today? It's pretty broad, but give us the mini version.
Yeah, no, it's a really important question to topic to talk about right now, because I think that more and more children are tapping into their innate abilities. These are abilities that we all have, and we've had for generations. They've just kind of been tuned off for a variety of reasons: 3D interference, 3D influence, blockages, triggers, all sorts of things. So the children of the now are coming in so much more tuned in to their frequency. They're coming in a higher frequency, and they're coming in with a veil much thinner. So they have the ability to see, hear, sense more. They're much more multidimensional. So when we're much more multidimensional, we have the ability to tap into way more than the previous generation. So these children are recalling past lives. They are talking about their galactic origins. They are seeing interdimensionally. So they are seeing interdimensional beings, both positive beings as well as negative beings that are tormenting them, like the shadow beings. And they are very psychic in the sense that their intuition is strong. One of the biggest challenges, I'll say really quickly before passing on, is that they don't like to look at people. I've heard this a lot, because they see through people. They see beyond, and they see the lies. They see their entourage of energies that are around them. They see their auric field. It's almost overstimulating and too much information. So when a child sees an adult, they're seeing everything. They're seeing your intentions. They're seeing all of the struggles, the anxieties you have. They're seeing all of it, and it's too much. So it's also overstimulating for them. So they really need some guidance right now, and I think that they're struggling. So it's really important for parents to just kind of take a deep breath, not to freak out, and to just talk them through the challenges, because they're actually beautiful gifts. But they need to be nurtured, and they need to learn how to protect the integrity of their gifts, so that they don't get embarrassed by them. So there's a lot of innate abilities that they're tapping into that many of us haven't been able to for quite some time.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love how you say they're gifts, because that they are, for sure. How about you, Mr. Bauer? What are your thoughts on?
Well, as you know, you've heard me rant on a number of times. My interpretation of reality is based on consciousness. And I believe, in my experience and in surfing the wave of life, I've seen that the majority of what we all experience is a common consciousness realm. And in that realm, there are innate psychic abilities that are just a part of what consciousness is. So we all experience them in different degrees. And I think that a lot of that information and that knowledge, which has been carefully at least kept in the variable realm of knowledge has been kept by the mystery schools, the mystic arts, a lot of the sacred knowledge, and it's always been there. In fact, the majority of the civilizations that we've uncovered over the last few hundred years and the cosmologies of those civilizations that we've been able to decipher and interpret all speak of reality in the universe being a living organism. And that living organism has its own relationship to consciousness, because consciousness is what creates the reality that we inhabit and that we experience. So things, all of the different divination tools, astrology, tarot, numerology, scrying, just different clairvoyance, clairaudience, all the different ways in which the psychic, natural, innate psychic abilities are expressed are just a part of what we are experiencing and can experience as long as we decide to go experience it. And I think that what Sherri's talking about with the children and what they're experiencing, I have a belief that over the last 400 years, there's been an energetic cycle that has been ridden by those who were able to capitalize on it and manipulate it and manage it to their benefit as opposed to ours. And they have purposely suppressed and sequestered this natural knowledge. And what's happening is that 400-year cycle of energy is ending, and there's a new one beginning. And I think what Sherri is talking about in particular is what we're seeing is these children that are coming in now are a part of this new energetic cycle that is emerging. We're in kind of a cross between the ending of the old energy and the beginning of the new energy. And these children are naturally a part of that because they're coming in. I know personally, because I have 3 grandchildren, and all 3 of them, in particular, my most recent one, my granddaughter, who will be a year old in a couple of weeks, I just look at that child and I know that she is from another realm. There is a spirit about her that is not from this place, but it is here to inhabit this place. And I think that's what a lot of the children are beginning to experience. And when we get into more of the scientific stuff, I've got a video. I'm not sure if any of you know of Caroline Corey, but her documentary on superhumans and making the invisible visible. And in particular, the clips that I have are on children being able to connect with and express and experience this invisible psychic ability that we all have, and watching them connect to it is very profound. So I'm looking forward to sharing that.
Beautiful. Yes, I want to see that. And I love how you brought in that old energies changing and the new energies coming in. Because I was going to ask you what you saw the difference between then and now, yesteryear and today, with the children coming in. And you also brought up something very important, is the education of them. So I think maybe we can chat a little bit about that. That is our job now, to protect them and to curate this education system to keep their skills active, get them more online, get them blooming a little bit more. And I know, Sherri, that's part of your expertise. So maybe you can share how you're spearheading that with your curriculum and with Aramis, and how that is. How are all the children coming in and finding you? Is there an upkick lately, or what do you see happening with that?
Yeah. Oh, that was a lot of questions in one. Well, speaking of education in general, I think that that is how we can foster the gifts that the children have. The current education that we've had for many generations is truly just an indoctrination. It's indoctrination of our children, and it really dims their light, and it really derails them from those innate abilities that we talk about, because they are essentially programmed from the moment they come in. At the vital age of 5, 6 years old is the time in which children teeter between the multidimensionality to the physicality, and a lot of them anchor in around 5, 6 years old, and they become more human. So that multidimensional aspect of themselves, if it's not blossomed, if it's not catered to, then they turn it off. And it is like a door that can shut. And because for a lot of reasons, their parents don't help them nourish their gifts, or they're told that they're making it up, or they're saying, they don't want to be different, or their children the teachers at school tell them it's not appropriate. So there are a lot of reasons why they turn that part of them off, because they want to fit in. Children, human beings in general, we want to feel like we have a sense of purpose, and we fit in. We belong somewhere. So it's not conducive in this environment to be different. And that's changing though. And so the educational realm of our reality is very much part of the programming to put children in that period of developmental advancement that's really vulnerable, but also extremely important. And when children go into that part of their life and they lose that aspect of themselves, they're much more easily controlled as adults. So it's vital that we start with children at a young age to teach them who they are, to allow them to be unique and different, and to allow them to be multidimensional. And it's okay to talk about past lives. It's okay to talk about the fairy realm that you've come from. It's okay to talk about your Andromedan family. It's okay to be able to bring all of that information forward, because it's accepted, and we nourish it and we expand upon it. So Aramis Creative Learning Center never started as a curriculum-based educational it wasn't a school. It's still not a school. I was trying to create something that was missing. I never wanted to take on the education, that division at all, because it's so corrupt. So I thought to myself, let me just create something a little bit different. Let me create an esoteric metaphysical center for children, much like we have Sunday school that's religious based. Why don't we have something like that for the spiritual families, those children that are struggling to find someone that understands them, where I get parents calling me literally 15, 16 times because that happened to me. I had a woman call me 15 times in a row until I picked up the phone, but she was desperate. She said, I don't know what to do with my son. He is talking about other lifetimes and being on Mars and dying in battles as an extraterrestrial. Who can I tell this without him being admitted to a hospital? Please, you're the only one I can talk to. And these children not only are they desperate to be able to speak about this freely, but the parents are desperate to find somebody that can help them be that safe space without reacting in a negative way, because they don't understand. So children need a space to be able to express their knowing, their truth. So I created Aramis Creative Learning Center as an opportunity or a platform for children to take classes and learn about crystals, to learn about Reiki, to learn about mindfulness, to learn about multidimensionality, what that is, to learn what a starseed is. You'd be surprised how many adults walking around who hear me say the word higher self, and they email me and they say, Sherri, what does that mean? I don't understand what that is. And it's surprising to me, but really not so surprising if you think about the world and how we've been programmed. But the children know, and the children learn, and they want to learn about how to use a pendulum, how to use tarot cards, sound healing, remote viewing. This is all natural to them. So a class for them in an hour could be a 6-week course for adults, because it's a lot harder for adults to work through those blockages, because we're so trained to use the left brain, where the children are way more tapped into the right brain. They're less logical, they have less blockages, and they're so natural at it. So I try to offer classes where children can embrace these topics that they're not learning in school. How do you navigate conflict? How do you navigate challenges with emotions? All of that. My kids were just screaming too, Heidi, so don't worry about it. I had to mute myself because they're in the hallway screaming at each other. How do you navigate challenges with siblings when you get really mad? It's not appropriate to punch your brother in the face. So how can you navigate these challenging emotions? Children need to learn these things so that they can go out into the world, and they're more balanced, and they're more grounded, and they're okay with being unique and different. And so that's where I believe that the educational paradigm is heading. And then eventually, the word curriculum is a trigger word for a lot of people, Heidi. We don't have a curriculum on purpose. I don't want to ever have a curriculum, because it's an ever-changing flow of what we and the children, because the children have the ability to speak their mind and what it is that they want to learn. It's all about real life relatability. So how can a child learn math while understanding while they're learning math. So no
Yeah.
worksheet. I'm not going to sit there and do 100 multiplications of this different things in the multiplication table, or minus, or addition. Let's go out and do some gardening and measure our garden beds. Let's go cook something in the kitchen and measure the ingredients and learn math that way, learn science. And all these things that we learn in a classroom for 6 hours a day under fluorescent lighting with being lectured, instead, let's take them outside and let's show them how they're going to use this later in life. So then they're engaged and they want to learn and they feel comfortable and excited. That's what Heidi's doing. And that's what we're trying to do. And I believe that what the education that I see in the future is not how we have it designed now with the public schools, where there's one curriculum that's set by the state, or really just the country, or even further, the government. But that's a whole other thing. It's more community-based. What do we need to learn? What do children need to know about Florida, living in Florida? What do children need to learn in Canada? What are children needing to learn in California or Australia? So it needs to be catered to the environment, and so many more things than just one umbrella. So the curriculum needs to be evolving and ever changing. So it's conducive to what the children need to learn at what developmental stage that they're in.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I as well, it's like a word that makes me go,
yeah.
Like the curriculum, it's alive, it's breathing, it's evolving. There is no set curriculum. And we're proof positive that this form of protection and bringing their skills out by we do qigong and scalar toning and gardening and cooking to do math, and we clap and we move and we use rhythm and frequencies. It's bringing their skills, their star knowledge they come in with that may be dormant, or maybe they don't have parents that see them. It's bringing it out and it's bringing it up. And we're helping them shine a little brighter. So I think that's so imperative. And Lakeside Laura, I'm so sorry. I think it scrolls is going pretty fast. Were you asking a question? We have some questions from the chat. And was it about your son? I mean, your grandson with his dream? He woke up saying, why is the sun going to explode or something? Was that the question? You let me know. Put it in caps in case I miss it. And then if anybody sees that. Well, after hearing all that, Mr. Professor Bauer, what are your thoughts? What's your take on that?
Oh, I am so
educators here. What you got?
I cannot tell you how much warmth and expression that I'm feeling within of just joy and happiness to hear what Sherri's talking about, because I've seen in my experience over the last 30 plus years, mental parasites being forced into what's known as the schooling system. And how that has essentially taken one of the most fundamental things that Sherri's talking about, which is how to think, has been replaced with what to think. And that what to think has created these massive silos of indoctrination into the reality that we all inhabit. Sir Ken Robinson, who's an educator over in the UK, did a phenomenal and just go to YouTube and look up Sir Ken Robinson on education. And basically what they did is he went through and looked at how the education system has basically become a factory. You run biological carbon-based units, our children, through this system, and you stamp them into forms and into silos with the approval that they have learned whatever it is that needed to be taught in order to manage and participate in society and be a productive carbon-based unit in the economy and being productive for manufacturing and agriculture and all those kind of things. But the real problem, I think, and Sherri's hitting on this in spades, the idea is not to teach, it is to expose children. It's to give them access to the information that is available in the world, and particularly about what are their proclivities, what do they resonate with, what does a particular child feel an energy towards, whether it's writing or it's art or it's music or it's building, it's working with their hands, it's whatever it might be. That is so important in giving children the opportunity to find out who they are, because right now we don't give that opportunity to children. We don't give it to even adults. I mean, even our institutional academic system is completely corrupted. And this whole thing about when people started raising hell about the student loan forgiveness, I said, every time I look at stuff that doesn't make any sense, I have questions, and I want to know how that answer, what question did you use to get to that answer, and that we must forgive this debt. Well, it's like, well, wait a minute. In the business world and any kind of exchange of any kind of economy and IP, intellectual property, product, service that you do, if what you deliver isn't of any value, then nobody's going to buy it. Well, apparently these degrees that were these stamped piece of papers from these accredited institutions of authority have sold a product that didn't have an ROI. There was no return on that investment. So my first question was, well, first of all, yes, you guys sold crap to these poor kids who didn't know any better, and you strapped them with financial responsibility that they also weren't taught about. What does it mean when I went to school, we had home economics, we had shop class, we had all these things that were basically kind of life skills that we were given the opportunity to go learn about. So when they said, well, we got to forgive the student loans, I said, well, wait a minute. If the academic institutions are selling product that does not return on the investment that the students signed up for, why aren't the academic institutions being held accountable? I mean, if they've got billions and billions of dollars of endowments, why aren't they covering the loss of the credit and the financial problems that they brought on these kids themselves? And that all goes back to, hey, well, we didn't teach them how to think or anything about learning who they are. We just simply told them, here's what you're supposed to think. And therefore, that's what you should know. And in order to be a productive member of society, you can now go forth because we've stamped this piece of paper with our name on it. So the real important thing, in a long way around my Harvey's Barn rant here, is if we're not giving children the opportunity to explore who they are, and I think music is one of the most important things that should be exposed, all children, everybody, even adults, should be exposed to, is you can learn all the math, the science, the history, language, cultures. You can learn just about everything you need to know about life that are the important metrics with which you gauge your participation through music. Whether you're a musician or you are simply an aficionado and a consumer and a connoisseur. And the resonance, the science behind all of that, sound, light, all those things are available through understanding what music is. So for me, hearing what Sherri's doing is just, especially when you're talking about the ability, looking at some of these as a topic of our show, is the innate psychic abilities, remote viewing, telekinesis, non-local consciousness. These are all things that are a part of our natural experience that we have within consciousness. And unless children are exposed to that, they'll never realize the fullness of what life and the conscious experience that we have has to offer.
Yes. And Miss Lakeside Laura, so this is an example of what the school is teaching. However, I see this and I'm like, well, are they talking about like the portals opening up and stuff? But it sounds like this is what now her son is having nightmares. He's waking up saying, why is God allowing the sun to explode? And, all these kinds of things. We have this beautiful Kung Fu class, and there's a little boy in there, different schools. And he's got bullies, and he's in an environment that, he goes to Kung Fu to get his energy out and feel stronger. But I listened to the mom share stories about this school, and oh my gosh, Sherri, I'm just like, we need to spread ourselves even more, because it just broke my heart. It was like, how could this be going on in this day and age? Because what we're witnessing, we are literally witnessing these starseeds, these children. We see humanity rising. We're watching children build compassion and empathy, and just by giving them the grace to learn at their own pace and to, sharpen their skill sets and to tell them they're important. That's just not happening in the regular school system, in my opinion.
Well, if they're carefully curated and crafted to go be productive members of the society that we inhabit, then you can't let them have all these wonderful skills and abilities and find out about it, because they're not going to fit in. And the problem is our society. It's not the children. It's not the people. It's the society that's been crafted and curated to this chaos in the conversation. So, well, Heidi, what you're doing with your classes, and Sherri, I mean, this is the future. This is
Yeah.
what you guys are actually curating, the next wave of humans, the
Mhm.
intellect of the future, the ability to be productive in a way that you're so much in need of. And I think what you guys are doing is proof of what I keep saying. I'm extremely optimistic about the future. I see, even with all the crap and stuff that's going on now, you look at it and you go, well, where's the hope? I mean, it looks like there's a lot of stuff swirling around the bowl on its way down. And it's like, yes, there is, because a lot of it, the majority of it, needs to be flushed. And our institutions, the everything that we do in society is broken beyond repair. It needs to be replaced. And it starts with the
Mhm.
education system. Once we have people who are educated, it's like what Mark Twain said. He says, I never let my schooling get in the way of my education. And
Mhm.
being educated, being able to learn. And that's the other thing, is that people need to realize that learning is an ever ongoing experience. You never stop learning. I'm closer to 70 than I am to 60, and I'm still learning. And every day for me is another just magical moment of waking up and going, what am I going to learn today? What am I going to go play with today? What's going to be revealed? And what am I going to find by poking around in all of the wonder that's out there? So
Mhm.
wandering in the wonder and pondering the possibilities is two of the most important things that I think all of us should be doing. And what we're seeing, I think, is a great reveal of truth and a knowledge. And
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
one, as I said, I am so optimistic about the future. I feel so good about
Yeah.
what's on the other side of the dumpster fire that we're all navigating around now. It's
And
wonderful. And you two are just perfect examples of what I'm talking about, and my heart goes out to you. Thank you for what you're doing.
got the Sherri.
Oh, yeah, thank you. You brought up a good point, Robert, too. I think historically, the education has been a privilege. I mean, look at all the children around the world who are not educated. They're not allowed to be educated because it is, in essence, a privilege. And that's by design, by the 3D, what I call the dark players, the powers that were in control. So they're only going to allow children to learn what the trades that they want you to learn, that's conducive to their game, this grid system. But when I spoke about before, me having the idea of the Creative Learning Center, of esoteric and metaphysical and all these fun extracurricular classes, how it's evolved over the years is an important part of the journey for me, because I never wanted to take on the education system. But as Robert said, the education system is collapsing in front of us. And what I learned in the last 4 years of Aramis Creative Learning Center is that it started out as an extracurricular Sunday school type of thing, right? But what I realized through the pandemic and all of the lies and manipulation and everything that came out, and the truths that did come out of that period of time, was that our children aren't learning anything. They are being indoctrinated. So there isn't any education. The key is knowledge. So how can we create an environment for children to learn and to expand their knowledge? Because why there are so many wise children. And I asked my middle son one day, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And he said, Mama, I would have all the knowledge. And to me, I feel like that's such a new earth children type of thing to say, because that what else do you need? You don't need material things. All the houses and cars and boats and things people have, all the material items, it's just matter. But when you leave, it's the knowledge that we take with us, and we expand our consciousness with that information and the collective benefits on it, because we all share that knowledge. So I realized that what I was creating was so much bigger than what I had started out in, and I embarked on. And we came up with the Aramis philosophies and the Aramis stages of learning. And what we realized is that what children should be doing is being given the opportunity to learn in stages. So we created our own Aramis stages of learning. And in those early years of 4, 5, 6 years old, children should be exploring. They should be learning how to be a human being, how to ground, how to connect to the earth, how to understand your energy body, how to how to communicate energetically with somebody else, how to speak telepathically before you forget how to communicate with the animals, how to become one with the planet, the trees, nature, all of that. And then you expand on it, and then you explore, and then the child discovers what it is that they are connected to, what they really enjoy, because some children really like math and they thrive on learning about engineering and robotics, and they are thrilled to do that all day long. But then there are other children that are more imaginative. They would love to be outside and work with animals. There are others that would love to do art. So what I see in the future is more of an opportunity for children to explore in the beginning years. Find what your passion is, find out what you're good at, and then we can fine tune it. So music is fundamental, in my opinion, Robert. So I very much agree with that, because it goes back to our ability to communicate at the root. So light language is our ability for souls to communicate. It's light language, and that is music. That is a harmony. When you break up a harmony into words, you can lie, and there's misconceptions, and it's hard to explain what it is that you want to explain. But if I were to speak light language right now and send out a harmony, it would be a download, and people could receive the entire download and its entirety without misconception, without any lies. And that's what words in our language, not to mention the curses and the spells they invoke, but the words make it so much more challenging. So if the children are in an environment where they can expand on their passions, then they can dictate what it is that they learn. So they're not doing exactly the same thing every day. They might do math one day a week, and the rest they're spending in the field. They're gardening. They're working with horses. They are creating art. They are doing creative writing. Maybe another child who loves math is doing math 5 days a week because it's their passion, and they don't really like art. So instead of art, maybe they do some music, or they go out and they work with the horses because they like the horses. The children should be able to control what it is that they learn based on their passions, instead of being controlled as they are now in the public school, where it's this class, these teachers, this curriculum, only for the indoctrination purpose, where they're not actually learning or expanding on it. So where I see the education going in the future is what I feel like I'm trying to create now with Aramis Creative Learning Center, where the parents are involved, the children are involved, and then we call them, instead of teachers, we have mentors. So mentors, because children need to have the chance to lead as well. Children should be teaching because they are our greatest teachers. So why not let them teach other children? Why not let them teach the adults as well, so they feel empowered? It's because those are the future leaders of the world, and they need to have the ability to train and to lead in some way. So I think everybody is will naturally gravitate towards their own passions and their own skill set if they're given the environment to explore it, and they're not confined, which we have been in the previous generations, where we haven't had the opportunity to explore our passions.
Yes, I saw it earlier. Colt, you had said something about them remembering who they are, and that's absolutely a big to do with what I'm doing now, because where I am educator is where it is like a homeschool enrichment learning center, but the drive is not, ooh, let's go get our psychic abilities pulled online. It's just parents almost not necessarily in fear mode. Some are, but they want something different. They don't want to be in a regular education system. But here, let me know your thoughts on this. What I see is just children coming in and then seeing that each and every one of them have abilities. They all have psychic abilities. They all have these innate psychic abilities. And as the educator, as being our job to lift those out of them, I don't feel like I need to shake the parent awake and be like, wow, your kid is so, can do this, because some of the parents aren't there yet. They're not ready they can't conceive these notions of a child remote viewing or a child, having that much power. They're just trying to protect them and, keep them from the fear agenda and things. So I'm just think that we need more of the educators stepping into position, knowing very well that it's going to be a long ride and that they are here to flip the future. So to step into working with these children, you need to know, like you said, Sherri, you see this happening in the long term. And Robert, you said the same thing. It's a beautiful thing. You can see that this is going to unfold beautifully well. So my thought to you is, having that word psychic, like having this psychic ability thing, I think it turns off a lot of people today because adults are not in tune to that as much. It's a community, but it's not as big as just the general community out there. They hear psychic, they're like, oh, they think of, a Vegas show or something, someone reading your mind. So I love how if we can tap into that a little bit more of how normal it is and how a psychic ability is just like someone said before, walking into a room and feeling the energy out and balancing your frequency. And I mean, all of us can be doing that, and all of us should be doing that. So, does this lead into, Robert, what you were going to share with us before?
That would be, I was just thinking what a great segue into
See what I
this
did
little
there? It's so
video
hard with the chat. I do the chat.
that I'd like to share. And
Okay.
before I share that, I'd like to expound a little bit more on what you were saying about education and what Sherri is also talking about. I'm also a technologist, so I've spent the last 40 plus years in technology building software and systems for Fortune 500 around the world. And so I've got a big long rant on this whole AI thing and blockchain in particular, and how people are not utilizing the profundity of what that technology actually is. But as it relates to the future and where education is going, I think what we're about to see is, and I've been asked a couple of times on shows, what do you see for the future? And I said, well, I see a brigade of bulldozers lining up across all of the different societal institutions and infrastructure and just bulldozing everything out of the way. Because there is nothing that we have today, in my opinion, and everything that I say, in case I didn't give it the caveat and the warning label, everything I say is my opinion. So it's subject to my own observational neutrality as best I can do. But I think what we're seeing is an entire collapse of the existing infrastructure, the administration of that infrastructure across the board. Nothing can be repaired. It will have to be replaced. And as it relates to the academic and education or schooling systems, I think we're going to see something quite profound in the future. And I think that the two of you are on the forefront of what I see as this change. And that change is this. The established academic systems for schooling have been in this stamped silo kind of model, where you get a degree in this and a degree in that, and they're coming up with stuff now that have words that have changed meanings, and they group them into these new little categories of ideologies, and you go, well, now I have what I went to school, the liberal arts degree is not what it is today. I was a part of the original liberal progressive movement in the 60s and 70s, and our whole thing was screw the man, leave us alone, and free sex and drugs and all that other good stuff. And that's not what they talk about today. It's completely different. So the curated narrative has been carefully crafted to create these little silos of idiocy for the most part. And what it starts with confusion in the consciousness and the conversation that comes from that. And you're being inundated with a deluge of data and a tsunami of shit that people are trying to resolve within their minds and the way they think and the data they have and the filters and the frameworks they use to sort through this stuff. And it just creates a bunch of confusion. The future of education, in my opinion, is going to look very similar to what the two of you are doing. In fact, it's going to, I think, replace everything. And instead of having institutions, we will have educators that have a natural draw of people to the content they create. And the ones that are delivering the highest degree of quality content are going to naturally attract people to learn. What we're seeing right now, and this is happening in the podcast world, but you have platforms like Kajabi and Skillshare and a number of them that are popping up, where you have individuals who have created their own curriculum, their own set of data and training that they put up there, and people are flocking to it. They're going and they're learning something without all the filters, without all of the nonsense and all the crap that's been wrapped around it. And these people are not only thriving, but the students, the people who have come to find and to learn, to explore, and discover all of this information that's been manipulated and mangled and sequestered over the centuries, are finding out that the reality that they have been inhabiting is not what it is at all. And that truth is going to come from individuals like you two. So I personally think that the education system and what we're going to see in the future is just going to be so rich and so wonderful and so filled with this incredible spirit of knowledge and learning. People will be attracted to it because they're going to find the resonance within themselves that they didn't know they had, because it was suppressed and sequestered and kept from the natural state of the way we exist. So what you're going to see now, I'll go ahead and try to bring this up. Hopefully it will work correctly. Is an example of what I'm talking about. So let's see here. Which one do I select?
And again, thank you so much to that lovely chat. We see you all there. And thanks, Carol and Jane, for the modding. Appreciate all of you guys. And these beautiful stories. I thank you, everyone, for answering each other, too. There's some questions, and the chat is like, hey, I see this. And it's so supportive. Thank you. I love that community build. I don't see it down there yet, Robert.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right one here. Hold on.
There it is. Yes, Rosie Greenleaf.
Yeah.
She likes to soon the government will no longer be able to control everything. Yes. Being here in California, I think you've heard that word, get ready, Sherri, curriculum. Newsom's wife put out a curriculum and all the public schools are taking it in, but it's this outrage. Like parents are like, what? So they're leaving in droves.
I mean, I feel like each center should be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. And that's it. That's how I feel. It should be completely unique, and whatever it is that they feel their children need to learn, that's what they learn.
Exactly. Perfect. And it's curated. You know, I have kids 3 days. Then for one day they go here and another day they go there. So I see your screen here. Let's see what this is all about. Okay. We have a slideshow for our educational class today.
So these are what I'm going to show you is some edited clips out of the documentary from Caroline Corey. It's titled Superhuman: Making the Invisible Visible. So give me a 5 by if you can hear it okay.
Yep.
Oh, hold on. I'm sharing the wrong one. Hold on. I'm sorry. I need to share.
Was this going to get in your
one.
home videos again, Robert?
Well, it's the correct one, but not the correct one. Hold on here. Here it is. All right. So this is available on Gaia. For those of you that are familiar with them. Can you hear that okay?
Yep, I can.
We exist as physical beings in a physical reality, while our mind is in constant communication with unseen forces and unknown worlds. We are the visible part of a potentially infinite, invisible realm. How do the two worlds, mind and matter, coexist, collide, and interact?
Because the energy is all around us and energy is all connected to all different types of energy, you can communicate with all types of different things.
In your head, you just need to think, please may I turn my energy on, or anything like that, a trigger of energy, and then just turn it on.
And to Joseph.
It's quite a warm sensation inside your body, it's quite tingly. And then your subconscious mind kind of realizes it.
As a kid, I met him down this alleyway, and ever since we've been playing in my head or somewhere else.
But he speaks energy, it doesn't speak our language.
Like many children, when I was young, I was very, very sensitive. Even at the age of 5, I realized I could perceive the subtle energy. I would look at someone and I would see the energy around them. I could feel the emotions, what they were going through. I would put my hand up and I could hear their thoughts sometimes. That got me on a journey of discovery and research in the field of consciousness, how consciousness works in the physical world and how we can answer some of these questions. For example, when we sense the presence of someone, but there's no one there, what are we tapping into? What are we coming in contact with? How can we perceive an event before it happens or remotely at a distance? Is it possible to change the chemistry of your body or even your DNA? How is it that you can move a physical object without any contact with this physical object? Or use your consciousness to see without your physical eyes?
The rain was tapping, and the windows and the wind was banging.
These are the phenomena that we're exploring here with a new scientific approach that could potentially explain it all. And it turns out that this field that we call parapsychology is not only widespread, but it is universal. My theory is when we perform PK or any other mind over matter exercise, our consciousness switches the brain from linear functioning, firing randomly in different areas, to 100% capacity, whereby the brain functions as a whole. Anyone can do this. In fact, without knowing the anatomy of the brain, all you have to do is focus your intent on the center of the brain. And that information is then distributed through the corpus callosum to the 2 hemispheres, which allows you to understand what's going on, and through the endocrine system, which then allows you to feel what is going on. Because the brain is now engaged at its full 100% capacity, you can now perceive and experience things beyond the normal human range, meaning beyond time and space. If this is true, then we should be able to transcend any limitation of our physicality, perhaps even our eyesight. Our first stop is in the UK, where we encounter children who are using blindfolds to access their superhuman abilities. We're going to play some games. Put your blindfolds on for me, please. Ready? Justin, tell me what's on this card.
Teacup.
And now tell me what's on this card.
Tiger.
Isabella, what is the shape and color of this stone?
Kind of like a circle, and it's not really, it's kind of like see-through.
Here's yet another example of how consciousness can interact with the physical world beyond what science claims to be possible.
When we work with the blindfold, it's so that we can encourage the children to use the vision that they have with their higher consciousness.
Evie, tell me the shape and color of the stone.
It's red and kind of a circle.
Yes. Evie, tell me what I'm holding in my hand.
A wooden spoon.
We expand their consciousness beyond that they believe or understand that they can, take them out into universal energies.
Okay, now let's go search for that beautiful inner light of yours.
I can see it.
Fantastic. Bring the light out into the area around you, your
I've done
light
it.
field. Good boy. Well
I can
done.
see it.
And then they can work with the higher consciousness, seeing, because they have the potential to see from every cell in their body.
Now you're going to read a line each.
The other dragons were purple with smooth, shiny scales, but Marmaduke was faded orange with sticky out scales.
Excellent. Good girl.
It's like witnessing a miracle. It's really It's just beautiful to watch.
George was enjoying a quiet evening in the Heavenly Hippos Wildlife Park. Suddenly, he spotted a group of animals creeping past.
The first time I actually saw it for myself, when I come to do my training, the only word I can think of is emotional. It was very emotional.
Pitter-patter. The rain was tapping, and the windows and the wind was banging.
When my son started to read and I saw him reading,
Our day out is ruined.
they kind of shine. It's just amazing.
No mouse would put a paw out in that weather.
Needless to say, I wanted to know what it felt like to experience the physical world through these blindfolds.
Totally dark. Yes. Wow.
Witnessing these incredible children up close got us on a journey to discovering others around the world who are applying similar methodologies to achieve mind-blowing results. At MPUSA in Ogden, Utah, a blindfold technique called Vibra Vision helps you sense the vibration of various objects in the physical world.
All physical matter in the universe is actually a form of energy that's made up of atoms. And those atoms are cycling or vibrating at a certain frequency. Practicing vibrovision gives us the ability to access our sensors and to perceive those vibrations, and then convert it into a usable mental image we call mind sight.
Red, yellow, blue, yellow, orange, blue, green.
Whoa.
We can perceive the unseen to do things that are thought of as impossible.
8 of clubs, 10 of diamonds, 5 of hearts. 1, 2, 3.
At MPUSA, folks of all ages demonstrate these incredible skills inside the academy and out in the real world.
How about the grilled chicken and sausage gumbo? Gumbo. How much do they cost again?
To $29.90.
Correct. And Colton, what were you just touching?
These are fan boxes.
All right. What color is that?
That's it.
Let's find the Lay's brand. Old Spice body wash. Very good.
From Utah, we make our way to Stuttgart, Germany. There, children are using a different approach to the methodology and display skills with impeccable accuracy. In the beginning, it felt a bit weird when I was able to see without my eyes, but after a while, you get used to it. I was rather skeptical in the beginning, but once I learned it myself, my reaction was, wow, this really works. I believe much more is possible than we know. Human beings have a lot more skills that they could develop. I also have a granddaughter who learned this skill and bops around with the mask here today. I'm amazed how well it works. Groups around the world are using various techniques to achieve very similar results. I decided to investigate the origin of these methodologies, which led me to InfoVision in Moscow, Russia, and its founder, Mark Komisarov, who discovered blindfold perception 20 years ago.
Постарался создать методику, которая, как мне казалось, могла бы активизировать эту способность.
We developed a methodology that first worked with kids. Then I tried it with a blind kid, and it worked too. Then I tried it with adults, and it turns out the methodology also works with adults. And that is what I've been doing for the past 20 years.
Эту способность у любого человека.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I have to unmute you. Uh-oh. Sorry, Sherri. Too many buttons there. Beautiful, Robert. Thank you for sharing that. I do recall her.
Yeah, me too. I've seen that actually. I forgot I had seen that.
That was so beautiful. Do you know, Robert,
So-
I was in your, uh-huh.
I was just going to say that I think that, what she did, this is from, I think, 2021, just a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
The whole idea of the mind fold instead of a blindfold, being able to project and feel and sense shapes and colors and the frequencies, and being able to navigate around the physical reality that we are in, is the innate psychic ability of not only children and what you guys are exploring and getting children and kids to be able to experience and realize is there, but it's for all of us. I mean, we were all children once, right? And the ability to really understand that that is the innate component of our conscious ability, I think is extremely important and very profound. And I love what Carolyn, this is just a few clips that I took out of, it's about a 2-hour documentary broken into 4 parts. And she interviews Dr. Dean Radin over at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, who's one of the foremost parapsychology scientists in the world. Highly recommend his work, Supernatural, his latest book called Real Magic, because these are all things that are innate. They are the part of our consciousness. And getting started early in life, understanding and exploring, being able to experience these things is the next generation. You guys are teaching the next generation of educators. Can you imagine what their kids are going to be experiencing and what they're going to be like?
Well, that's what I'm so excited about. And that's why, yeah, it's pretty incredible. I have to share this really quick story, though. While I was watching that, I was near tears. Yesterday, we had our spring festival and we had our strings performance for families. And my class, the 3rd graders, they can pick between cello and violin. And they read music and they perform. Now, I have 2 what would be called special needs students that would be called in different schoolings. We just call them children. They might be a little foggy and we're figuring it out. We're bringing out their skills. But one little boy in particular, like he just holds his violin with his chin. He's like, like he's just like blah 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 blah, whatever. And he was really nervous. And he usually also comes to me and says something right before I'm going to say it. So he's kind of picking up on some stuff already. But I just said, just be your best self. Shine bright. We're here to support you. Just be your best self. Have a good time. And he was kind of front and center. Our 3rd graders were front. And he put that under his chin. And as soon as the conductor started, he closed his eyes and he was like, he did the whole song. We never heard him even practice it once in orchestra class. Like he just went for it. And I was like, and I looked to find his mom and she was like, it was beautiful. I just want to share that.
That's so beautiful, Heidi. I think one of my biggest issues with music class that they have in school right now, especially for the elementary age, is that it's all about following, like learning how to do learn other people's songs, but they never give children the opportunity. I can't say never, but a majority of them don't give them the opportunity to create music. Like there should be the music should be structured around these children learning to create their own music. Instead of learning or singing, like my son's in chorus and he has to sing the songs that everyone else is that have already been sung. Why not teach them how to make their own song, their own lyrics, their own music to go with it? Because that's where the imagination comes in, and that's where the creation part. But again, that gives you an example of the public school system and how it's so limiting. Because no, I don't want you to create your own music and your own song. Just follow this one. Let everyone sing the same songs repeatedly year after year. And what do they learn from that? It's limiting their ability to imagine and to create. We're co-creators. We are each individual creators, and collectively we are co-creators. But that co-creation has been limited significantly generation after generation. And this is the generation, though, that the children are saying, no, I want to try something different. I am ready to embrace something new. Give me a different challenge. Let me lead. Let me try this. I want to do that instead of this. And we're trying to provide the environments where the children are able to do that instead of being told no, which we were all told no. We were all the black sheep. I was getting in trouble. I was having to sit in the corner because I was talking too much. I was told by teachers that I wasn't going to become a doctor because that's what I wanted to be. And I was told no, no, no. And I think I turned out just fine. And I think that I like who I've become, and I like what I'm doing. And had I not had so many teachers throughout my life tell me that I know, and to stop, and to be quiet, and to not be creative, and just memorize, repeat, and recycle, and take all these tests, imagine who I could have become. And again, hindsight's 2020. I'm not faulting my experience, because it helped me be motivated to want to help the generation now. But imagine what our children, like I think Robert said, imagine what a couple generations down the line will look like if we allow them to have a completely different experience than we did, and then the next generation grows up already experiencing that beauty, and then infinitely it just grows up and expands upon that, and we don't actually know what it'll look like 100 years from now. We can project, we can try to visualize, but really we don't know, because the possibilities are truly infinite.
Yes. Did either one of you, I know, Sherri, you just said you were a troublemaker, but did either of you have any teacher that you remember and you think about and are just, they did something profound? You're like, wow, I wish all my teachers were like this. Or were they all just like, no?
And you want to know why I know that? Because I had a meeting with my ex-homeschool pod about 4 weeks ago, and we had a meeting. And the leader of the group asked the question. I want everybody to think back to when they were in grade school and share a positive experience with the group of a teacher that inspired you. And I'm telling you, I'm sitting there and I'm sweating and I am freaking out, because I'm literally desperately trying to think, and I couldn't come up with one thing. And I said, I don't have any. I didn't have one. Isn't that sad?
Well, I'm sharing that because I have one. I mean, that's in 12 plus 4 years of university. But there was one, I was a studio art minor at DePaul, and it was my first day. And I remember collectively, I was picking up energy already. It was my issue in high school. That's why I was a very not a good student, because it was more about the kids in the classroom. I kind of freaked out. But everyone came in nervous. And I remember the lights went dim and this man played Vivaldi. And he goes, just draw, whatever comes through, just draw. And I just remember everyone just like, what's the right thing to do? And then we just all relaxed and we just started doodling and drawing things. That was the whole class. So when we had our rain day a couple weeks ago and we were in our little teepee, and there were a couple really scared kids, like nervous kids. And they're like, oh my gosh, like the rain, it was hitting really loud on the tent. And I pulled out all the drums and the little bells and frequencies. And I'm like, let's just jam. We just had this jam drum circle, and the collective just went, and they got to express through music. I think it's such a big to do, but I'll never forget that teacher, because I was like, thanks, man. It wasn't so stressful.
I had,
and then now I get to do that.
Well, I had two on the extremes. One was, oddly enough, in 5th grade. It was my English teacher, and his name was Mr. Funk. And he was this old dude who, I mean, we just ribbed him all the time. We'd come in and say, good morning, Mr. Funk. How's Mrs. Funk and all the little funkers? And he failed me in English because I just didn't want to have anything to do with learning English. And now, decades later, I am in love with linguistics. And so I've got an odd experience there. But the most profound one was my music teacher in high school. I went to Downey High, which is in Southern California. And my music teacher was Bruce Gifford. And 4 years before me, Karen and Richard Carpenter went to Downey High, and he was their instructor. And then 5 or 6 years after I graduated, the guy from Metallica, James Hetfield, went through there. So we had some musical people that kind of gravitated through there, and Bruce was the instructor for all of them. I was a young, long-haired rock and roll guitar player playing Zeppelin and, Freebird and all that. And I said, well, I want to get into this stage band thing. couldn't read music, played by ear. And I go into class and we've got 5 trombones, 5 trumpets, 5 saxes in a rhythm section. And we got these things called music stands. And Bruce takes out these sheets of music and they're like 7, 8 pages long and look like a chicken with ink on his feet, went crawling across it. And I said, what's this? And after a couple of years of that, the music appreciation that he gave me that I then carried with me the rest of my life was just incredibly profound. And he was like that kind of guy. He would encourage you. He'd say, I looked at it and said, I don't know what any of this is. He says, you'll figure it out. Just get in there and play with it. Follow the rest of the guys. Listen to, ask for some help, but you'll get it because you can play guitar. So that was probably the most profound teacher I had. But the real profound teachers were the mentors that I've had over my life. The individuals that came into and the ones that came in and out of my life sporadically, spontaneously, out of the blue, and dropped profound nuggets of knowledge into my noggin. And I went, what was that? And those have been many, and some of my most cherished memories and relationships.
Mm-hmm. You said the keyword mentor. So I think that's the future of it, having just a series of mentors to curate a beautiful education. I think too, Sherri, you and I have spoken on your show before about being a parent now in today's age, knowing what we know, but being a parent and watching the world through our children's eyes. That's part of the drive of stepping into this position of we have to change something for these kids because we can see firsthand as the parent what is going on with them. So I think more and more, all those we meet in these communities, everyone has this innate skill. If they can all become mentors themselves, this won't be such a daunting task. We can get through this build of a new system much sooner if people just trust their own skill set too, as the adult and the guardian. So because you just did a call out for more mentors, Sherri, didn't you? And you got an influx of new people. Are you finding more adults going, hey, I can do this really well. Let me help out some kids. Are you seeing that out there?
I am. And I love that because I'm not looking for, everyone's trying to send me their resume. And I said, I love the resume. Thank you. But I don't want it. I want the parents and the grandparents or the retired teachers or the frustrated current teachers that don't like the public school curriculums and they're like, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't like this. I'm not helping anybody. I want people that have a humble nature that are trying to put children first, but they have something to guide them. They have something, a trade or something that they can teach. And there are a lot of people that have reached out to me every single day and they want to be a part of what we're creating, which I think is beautiful because I work with children all over the world through my one-on-one sessions and adults when I do kind of coaching, soul coaching and soul readings. And I would say about 5 years ago, maybe 10-15% of my clients had their children homeschooled. And there was a big fear of, should I take the leap? Now in 2023 into 2024, I'm at like 70% and higher of my clientele that are now have taken their children out of public school and are either unschooling or they are homeschooling, or they have put them in some sort of a pod, and the pods are growing exponentially. And that's one thing I will say for the state of Florida, because I moved from Maryland to open up our first physical center here. And I am overwhelmed and grateful for the support of the state of Florida for homeschooler. I mean, it is huge here and it's very supported. And there's a lot of like-minded communities popping up. And I think that it has to do with parents that are activating and saying, I want something different for my child. My child is not thriving anymore or not at all if they're just going in to this, or they're saying, I don't even want to put my child in this public system. So they're advocating. And now they're going out and they're looking for something and they're saying, I want change. And we're seeing the change because the enrollments in the public school, it's statistics, everyone can look it up, is dropping significantly. And I know that because I talk to teachers that work in the schools and they're telling me we have a 20-30% decrease in enrollments this year, last year, and previous years. It's happening everywhere in all the states, not just in Florida. So parents are finally standing up for their children and saying, I want something better. I demand something better, and I'm not getting into the public school. So I'm taking my child out and I'm going to find something for them. And if I can't find it, I'm going to create it. And that's how we do this faster, because I can look into the future and say, oh, it's so beautiful, but how do we get from point A to point B? I think we're somewhere in the middle right now where the system's collapsing. Parents are taking the control back. They're saying, the government doesn't get to control my children anymore. These are my children, and I'm going to advocate for them. I'm going to support them, and I'll be their mentors until I can find the mentors appropriate that will help me and help to guide them. And those are the communities that we're building. And the more of us that are aligning with that, and the teachers that maybe don't even have children that want to be mentors, or people who have skills, like Robert said, a musician that doesn't have children, maybe they're 30, 40, 50 years old. I would love to teach children how to play the guitar, whatever it may be. And we have thousands upon thousands or millions across the globe. We can create our own education, our own paradigm. We rebuild it with the fundamentals of the children come first.
Yes.
Amen.
Hi, Heather. Amen. That reminds me of being the mentor. It also is a smaller commitment. So these adults here, I just have to do the skill that I'm really good at and I love to do, and I could do it 24/7 because I love it so much. I just do it for few times a day to children that are really receptive. It's more exciting. It's not like such a chore, and it becomes something exciting. And I'm teaching littles that, the third graders, they're 9-ish. And regarding math, our latest learning block on math is money, the measurement of money. And so they're creating a tiny product that makes them happy. One's going to play a song, one's going to do a little dance, one's going to bake. They're going to do whatever their skill set is. I said, your product is something you love, like your passion, bring it out a little bit. And then we're going to work with change and tips and, things like that. But math, all the academics come with your skill set, just bringing your skill set online. I think that's just super cute. I see you out there, Neil, too. Robert, Neil's been dragging you pretty hard. Have you noticed that? He's been pretty funny, our little castle dude.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't been bringing some of your stuff up there, Neil, but I see, I love you. And hi, Miss Chastity. Again, thank you so much for this beautiful chat. I'm slowly winding down a bit, but let's narrow down our synapses a little bit. And does anyone have any questions for Mr. Robert or Miss Sherri Divband? And do either of you have any, remarks, closing, like roundabout remarks that you'd like to, what's your takeaway from all this? What do you really want people to walk away from just hearing from you? That was a lot again too, wasn't it, Sherri? I got nervous. My friend Heather's here.
Well, I have to say that the two of you and being able to have this conversation today is exactly, in my opinion, what is needed now, more so than ever. And it is the future of learning and education and the future of our children. My heart is just swelled with just an overwhelming emotion of how powerful of what you guys are bringing to the world. And I salute you. I encourage you to continue with alacrity and with as much energy and that you can to continue down this path, because you are forging the future. You are changing the future that we are all going to see around the corner as we get around this nonsense and all of these things that are going on in the world today. And those things are this collapse and this rebuild and this reveal and the rethink, and all of these things are necessary to get to where you guys are going. So I, for one, am going to do my part to help clear the road, to open the path, to enable as much as I can what you guys are doing. And in any way, shape, or form that I can support, I can help, I am here for you. And I just, my hat's off, my heart's out. You guys are amazing. And I'm so proud and honored to be here to share this with you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank
That's
you.
so sweet. Sherri, right before you say that, I wanted, because with both of us, yes, Rosie, we both, as she's into gardening herself, we both have worked with littles with gardening, getting our hand dirty, getting grounding, we have a whole bed right now of all these fresh vegetables. And the cutest thing is they just walk by and grab a chunk and start eating it, broccoli and all. They love it, but they grew it themselves. And that's how we did linear measurement too, our math block of linear measurement, growing and stuff. And you're working similar, correct? And your daughter's working in the garden, Miss Sherri?
Yeah,
working in the
I think
garden?
it's super important to get them out there and connecting to the earth and recognizing where that food comes from, feeling the energy of the strawberry versus an apple, versus a flower. I mean, all of it, it's all important and it all connects them in such a beautiful way. And Robert, I want to say thank you for such a beautiful thing. You're making me want to cry. I know, right? I was like trying to keep my composure. And
then I went, garden.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support that we have of everyone in the chat and people that reach out to me every single day. I cannot respond to everybody. I'll get 100 emails overnight sometimes. So I apologize if I don't get back to you. It's not on purpose. There's only one of me. And I'm doing so many things and I'm stretched very thin. Plus I have 3 of my own littles. Well, one's not so little anymore, but and they need me too. So I do everything that I can. But what Robert brought up an important thing. We're all playing our role. And the last thing that I'd like to say today is that everybody is part of the change. If you're watching this, you're part of the change. Energetically, you're holding the space or you're outside doing something. Co-create with us. Visualize the world that you want to see. If it's not your focal point is not children and education, what is it? Is it animals? Is it the political arena? And how can we have better leadership? So many avenues, and health and wellness. Everybody can play their role, and every life matters. And I didn't mean to make that sound like an agenda. All of our role, we all matter. Everything that we do and how we think does make a difference, and we all contribute with our energy and our thoughts and our mindset. So if we just stay the course and we stay positive and we build communities instead of competing with each other, instead of hating on each other and this division, we come together and we create groups of like-minded people. And we put the energy out there, and then we have some of us holding the space while others are out there and they're working hard and everything in between. And I think that's how we continue moving forward. And it's so beautiful to see groups like this. Just everybody supporting one another. I think it's such a small piece of the big puzzle, of just the masterpiece of the collective consciousness expanding and evolving in such a beautiful way.
Yes. Those in the chat and the community in general, I don't think we should feel so overwhelmed. I think we all are able to do this together, not for the betterment of the children, but what's to come. It's the future. Well, I was just sharing our pals. Thank you, Carol and Jane, again for modding. They've been sharing your channels. I also have them down in the description below. But if you do want to share, Sherri, I have a conference coming up too, don't you?
I do, yes. I will be speaking at the Journey to Truth conference in Grafton, Illinois, May 13th through the 15th. Don't quote me on the exact days. It's around that week. And it's a beautiful conference. This will be my second time speaking there, and it's a beautiful energy and a beautiful community. So if you can make it, there's still tickets available. And if you can't fly there, you can live stream it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for bringing that up, Heidi.
Yeah. And Mr. Bauer, are you jumping on another show soon? I know you'll be on Mr. B tonight.
I'll be on Mr. B later this evening, but I've been working on relaunching the Nexus. So I've got a number of guests that I'm going through the motions of getting all that scheduled and lining it up. And I'm also putting out all of the music from my indie label. I've created a new YouTube channel called Intuitive Sound. So I'm putting all that music up. And then I also have my meditation channel called Mind Treks on YouTube. And that's a series of meditations that I've created I've started following Taoism back in the 90s and became a Tai Chi instructor and learning the I Ching and the Tao and the resonance of energy and the way that it's not a belief system. It's just a way. And in fact, that's what the Tao is known as, the way. And I learned breathing and body and mind techniques. So I've put those into a series of meditation videos and audio on Mind Tracks on YouTube. So I'm working on that. I'm working on my new show. I'm working on getting all the music that I've done up. I also have my philosophy called Informatica, which I've been doing a number of shows on, which is the metrics and the matrix, which is all the things that we've been talking about. So I'm up to here with what's coming out of the mind through the universe saying, hey, go do some of that, go do more of this. And so I'm overwhelmed with an amazing amount of work, and it's just filling me so much with this great energy. And then being able to have this conversation today is just an extension of that. And I'm, right now I've got so much energy, I'm not sure what I'm going to do after the show. I'm going to have to find somewhere to go
Make some
spend it all.
music. Make some music. Well, thank you again. Thank you to both of you so very much. Truly. Thank you, Bauer, for really fueling my fire. And then I'm like, Sherri, do you want to put in a play? So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again to the chat. And if you join us next, instead of our Saturday Synaptic Circle, it's going to be Friday. Good Friday indeed. I have a couple comedian buddies. They're on the circuit, and we're going to talk about truth and comedy and that disclosure within red pilling through comedy. So a little bit of a pivot from today's episode. But thank you so much. If this resonates, please share. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And thank you so very much for the support. So thank you again, and have a most beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you.